Thanks for coming by Politics and Life. This is Jordan. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today we got Candace Owens, who, as you guys know, is one of my favorite conservative podcasters. She's been on a media tour recently doing a lot of podcasts. Never listened to this guy named Destiny, but I did a little research and found out who he is. I guess he does his own podcast, and he is a Democrat leftist. Candace Owens does destroy him in this debate, and I love it. I have 4 sections that I took out of the hour-long debate, and we're going to be talking about the black culture, the music, Jeffrey Epstein case, the Trump indictments, and the black community. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let's get the video started.
Those that they'd been kind of pushed into, or the policing situations that they'd had to be a part of, or drugs destroying their communities, et cetera, et cetera. And then those people turning to crime, that you also see the music and the art kind of reflect those conditions. And then those pieces of art that get created, especially the music, end up being like worldwide popular. Like the most popular genre of music in the world is like hip hop and rap. So when I look at people pushing certain stuff today, I'm like, okay, well, we got 2 really big, in my opinion, I went to school for music. I don't know if you talk about the saxophone or whatever. So we had 2 really big contributions to the world of music from America. One was jazz, that came basically from the black community. And then the second was like rap and hip hop. These forms of music become popular. People see that it's popular. They want to get involved. Obviously, the money men, the people on top, they want to kind of continue to push this because it's popular and everybody around the world consumes it. I feel like there are a lot of market forces at work that kind of perpetuate this and keep this happening. And that feels pretty satisfying to me to explain what's going on. So when we ask, like, why is it a woman twerking with somebody's face in her butt cheeks? Because, well, for whatever reason, that's like what the worldwide culture seems to want to see right now. And then on the other side, it feels like from people, I don't want to just say conservatives, but I would say broadly speaking, I guess I'll say on your side in general, it feels like there's this idea that there's this much more intentional or like malevolent force working behind the scenes.
Yes, there is. And so I'm going to push back on what you're suggesting here. You're suggesting that this reflects the community, and they're sharing their stories in a way that makes sense. That's completely not true. Okay, WAP does not reflect the circumstances that Black people are living in. Singing about your vagina and how hard it's getting pounded is not the circumstance of living in the hood. I come from nothing. It's not that did not make me feel closer to the circumstances that I grew up in. And unfortunately, that's actually what people are telling Black Americans. Like, actually, it's working the other way. You're putting something, your eyes and your ears are the windows to the soul. And you're basically, when you celebrate someone, and I'm using Cardi B here as an example because I think people are probably more familiar with her than they are with Sexy Red. When you put someone like that on the Grammys stage, which is, again, a decision being made. When I was growing up, the best, most talented people were on the Grammy stage. It was something you could watch with your family. And we still had poor people. You still had poor people. You still had people that were living in the hood. Okay. We didn't need somebody talking about their vagina in order to feel seen. So what you're doing is you're setting the stage for younger girls who aspire to celebrities to say, okay, well, if I mimic that behavior, I too can become famous. What you're actually doing is you're setting the idols that people are going to look up to, and people are going to think this is what I should aspire to. So it's actually working in the exact opposite way.
Can I ask a question in that like evolution of things? So if we look at like WAP in particular, hasn't it generally been the case that music is always kind of pushing these sexual boundaries? So it might have been Elvis grabbing his crotch and dancing. It might have been Michael Jackson's dancing is incredibly suggestive, if you've seen that. It might have been in Woodstock, all the loser hippies talking about love, sex, and rock and roll and drugs. Wouldn't like WAP just be kind of like the next evolution in a long chain of...
Pushing boundaries is not degeneracy, okay? And so here's what I'll say to you. Why don't you pull up the lyrics to WAP and read them right now?
Well, why would I need to do that?
Cool, it's just Woodstock. We're just pushing the boundaries a little bit. You probably have never even read the lyrics to WAP.
I think I did, because I think Ben Shapiro had a huge thing about it.
He couldn't have said, you may have seen him reading the sanitized version of WAP, not the one that is not sanitized. Like the sanitized one, which is still bad, that she can perform at the Grammys, is what he read. You should read the lyrics to WAP before you make commentary that it's a reflection of what Black Americans are living through, or it's just somebody that's pushing a boundary. It's not that.
How ignorant do you have to be to say something like that? That is your typical white liberal response. I see it as I would be offended seen that type of music being pushed out, especially to the kids. And if you guys remember Sexy Red, who she has talked about, who's been pushed up in the rap industry, is the one that's talking about her booty hole being licked and just disgusting stuff that no children or even people, I'd say, of all ages should be turned on to. It's disgusting. And as you can see, as he's defending it, because he always has to say the opposite of what a conservative is, he can't just say, you know what, you're right, I do agree with that. Instead of that, he always has to push the boundaries, as the rap industry does. You can see her face expression. She's like, dude, what are you doing? Stop playing stupid. We all know that you agree. We must protect the children at all costs. I always say that they are after the most vulnerable, that is the kids. We need to protect them at all costs. I believe that all parents should turn off this type of music and put on the music I've been promoting. If you're going to listen to rap, it might as well be America first, patriotic, freedom loving American type independent rap that's not owned by the industry. So if any of you in the comments ever want some music, check out my previous videos by Tom McDonald and other artists. All right, the second part, we're going to be talking about the Epstein case, where of course he's going to defend.
A complicated thing.
So complicated. I think governments
they are
pray
deciding
that they have the amount of control over culture that you think they do. There's no shot that anybody would be able to top down control that much stuff.
Like I said, there have been a lot of evidence that has come out, whether you're looking at the Jeffrey Epstein case or you're reading through the 72-page document for the Diddy lawsuit that suggests that the government is involved.
Even on the Jeffrey Epstein case, like what's suggesting government involvement here?
What do you mean? What do you mean what's suggesting?
Like what part of the Jeffrey Epstein case is like, oh my God, the government is like playing a part in this?
Well, the fact that he had ties to the Mossad and the CIA, and that when they raided his home, he had his face and about, 6 different passports. Who can issue passports?
Sure, but when we look at it,
who can issue you a different identity?
I don't know about different identities, but for passports, I imagine you can get that illegally, or you can just get it from countries depending on citizenship status. Well, but what I'm saying is that, like, for when we look at Epstein, right? Epstein was a billionaire, right?
Why was he a billionaire?
Why? Because of trading or whatever he did. I'm not totally sure.
No, that's the question. Nobody knows why.
I don't know why. Yeah, but there's like a million different.
Sure.
There's lots of people where I don't know how they made their money, but to fill in the gaps of all of this with some.
No, you should always know how somebody became a billionaire. That's like a very easy thing. Like somebody shouldn't just be like, I became a billionaire and you have no idea how. Like,
I'm sure there are tons of people who are billionaires.
I sold the product. You know why Elon Musk has money. You know why Jeff Bezos has money. You should not say we can't connect the dots on how this person became a billionaire that was able to purchase an island.
Filings aren't always going to be public. That like, oh, well, I can figure out exactly why this person became a billionaire. If they don't work in like public traded companies or something, how will you ever know? There's no way you're going to know that.
He did.
I am very humbly asking if you could chip in $5, $10, or even $25.
Then what's the question?
It's not a question. It's just nobody understands why Jeffrey Epstein or his brother have billions of dollars.
Well, you just said did he have a ton of shares in publicly traded companies?
What do you mean? Did he have a ton of shares?
Like when we ask, for instance, so here's a question. Do you know how Jeff Bezos made his money or how Elon Musk made his money?
I know that Jeff Bezos created Amazon, and I know that Elon Musk has created a ton of things. Tesla, you got Starlink.
Okay, kind of. So not really. Bezos made his money because of the appreciation of shares of Amazon that he had a huge stake in, right? And Elon Musk made a lot of his money. Initially, it was on PayPal and a couple of ventures, and then because he had a huge equity stake in SpaceX and Tesla, especially, that's where they made their money. Is ownership of stock of publicly traded companies. That's what I'm saying. We can look at those people. We can say we know how they made their money. So I don't think Epstein had massive shares in publicly traded companies, did he? So he wouldn't have made.
Did you actually look into the Epstein case, or are you just, because I can't tell right now if your thing is just to be contrarian?
Okay, hold on.
No, I'm being serious. No, I'm asking you because it seems like you're just like, whatever your position is, I'm going to take the opposite and I'm going to say something really quickly and try to say, well, how do we know? And it's like, that's actually quite boring.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, dude, like, let's actually have a real conversation, because tons of stuff is happening right now. A lot of stuff is being exposed, right? Mm-hmm. People are for the first time able to grasp a theory that finally makes sense, right? It finally makes sense. It makes sense that there is a blackmail ring operating in DC, because we don't understand why we keep sending our politicians to DC. And then it's like they completely serve anybody other than the American people, right? So when that Jeffrey Epstein case got exposed, and if you were following it and reading the documents.
I did follow it. I read the entire document, the 80-page report that came out from the government, did a report on the prison where he supposedly got killed.
And you're realizing how many artists have stood up and said this exact same thing was going on. Now you have somebody that has filed something with proof saying it's going on. And then you just have like a Destiny being like, oh, what if it's not going on? What if it's not? Whoa.
Okay, well, sure. So here's like
oh, maybe WAP is just really just that amazing. People just love.
Yep, that's the problem. When it comes to these liberals, they will always play stupid. And that's why I think these people are paid off. They cannot be this dumb. I understand some of the voters aren't included in the whole truth, but this guy's smart. He knows what's happening and what's being said. He's playing devil's advocate, and he's paid to do that. But it comes off as very ignorant and just that he's just clueless because he knows exactly what's happening. He knows the truth behind it. He knows that this is true. And if you did look into the court case as he did, why else is the feds not releasing the victim list? Why aren't they releasing the videos? They are the ones that has hidden all the documentation and proof of all the clients in the videos. So if they had nothing to hide, why they do that? See, that's what he'll never answer because he always deflects. He talks very fast and he uses these ways of sounding good, but he doesn't answer the question at all because he's an idiot.
As evidence,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
Otherwise,
That's
I
part
would
of
have
his charge
said,
and
I
stuff.
don't know. It's frivolous. Like
Sure.
you can always
I
sue a
understand.
rich person.
But I'm also saying that like a charge is a charge, or a claim is a claim, or a filed case is a filed case. It'll be interesting to see what ends up playing out in court, and then we actually
I'm keen
see.
to see that.
Yeah,
I'm keen to see that. That's what I want to
Mhm.
see. I'm not condemning the person. I'm not a person that believes that you. I would hope, and I obviously have lost faith in the court system in some ways, but I would hope that it works the way it's supposed to work and that it will take more evidence and that he has to appear in front of people and show us more evidence and show us more video evidence of what's going on. But
So when you
what I will say is that it looks credible.
Okay. When you
on
say
the
that you've lost
outset.
faith in the court system, does that mean that if a guilty verdict is returned, you'll think it was a good case, but if a
No,
non-guilty verdict is
that's not
returned,
what
are you
it
going to?
means.
Oh, okay. Well, why would you preface with I've lost faith in the court system?
Because I have seen some circumstances in which things that should not happen do happen. And a good example of that, if you want to talk about the craziest case that I followed in a long while, it was the defamation one where the jury awarded, she was asking for what, 10 million, and they awarded her for 400 or 800 million just to like bankrupt Trump, and her allegations had expired, but they created a new law in New York so that she could bring them forth about something that she says happened in 1996. What is that whack lady's name? She was so
Wait, are you talking about when they extended the
E. Jean Carroll
statute of limitations
Yes.
to allow people to sue people relating to
and then
rape?
she got funded to reopen this. They changed the law, and then she got funded by the person who is I don't want to call him a Democrat operative, but he obviously is very involved in the Democratic Party. The person that started LinkedIn is the one that funded her to do this lawsuit. I mean, the whole thing is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's just like making new laws.
I thought this law was changed in New York a while ago.
No,
I don't
it
think
wasn't.
It's specifically for Trump.
No, it wasn't. Nope. It was specifically after she went on and was doing the rounds on, and those were wacky when she was like, I don't even know. When he was like, what is rape? Anderson Cooper asked her, and she was like, I think most people think rape is sexy. It's not someone jumping on you and da 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 da. You know, it'd be great for this if you could bring up clips like that, because it would be awesome for people to be able to watch it. But she was so clearly clinically insane. She was so insane that even Anderson Cooper had to go to commercial. MSNBC had to go to commercial. So this is not a woman, that was making what any person who can listen to somebody interview about their rape would say are credible allegations. But there was just such hatred for Trump that they just made it happen. And in no circumstance, I can't imagine what circumstances somebody asks for like 10 million and the judge is like, no, you're going to give you 400 million. Other than we hate Trump so much and we hope to bankrupt him.
Was this a jury trial?
There were multiple parts of this lawsuit, but it was.
It doesn't matter because, as we all know, any Trump case or court case that he gets, he's never treated fairly. Especially in the Eugene Carroll case where she says that he raped her, over 30 years ago? And that they changed the law very recently to where she could sue him again. She has zero evidence of the rape. Alsco, when she was on CNN explaining about it, she said that rape is sexy to her. And she's a crazy woman. If you just look up some of the stuff she said throughout her career, she's a nut job. She seems unstable. And I would think that anything that comes out of that woman's mouth in regards to 10 plus years ago, you should consider as a lie for sure. All right, guys, the last part we're going to listen to is Candace explaining how the Black community is being destroyed within by voting Democrat.
With the Black family. And it was the intention of Lyndon Baines Johnson to do that because he was an avowed racist and spent decades in the Senate voting against every measure to give Black Americans any measure of freedom until he was basically forced with a figurative bullet to his head to sign the Civil Rights Act to restore some calm nationally. So I think, first of all, everything begins with education. And I think that people that are nefarious understand that, which is why the 70% illiteracy rate that we're seeing across inner city communities is in my opinion by design. 40% of students now can't pass the literacy exam, excluding Black America.
When we say by design, who would want that?
People that want to control you. There's a reason why when we had slave codes, slaves weren't allowed to learn how to read. When you're not educated, anything I tell you becomes your reality. If
I can understand that, but slaves like worked and did stuff, right?
Yeah,
I feel
so do Americans. Every day we go to work and our money gets sent overseas.
But they have to like be literate to go to work, right? I feel like illiterate Black people that are doing gang violence probably aren't serving any system very well now.
You are, because you keep voting in the people that are taking more power from you, right?
Do you think those people are voting much? The Black gangbangers and stuff?
I think, yes, Black people do vote, and it's not
hold on. To be very clear, I didn't say Black people, because I don't think that all Black people are like this. I'm saying that like specifically the ones that are illiterate, involved in gang violence, and are unemployed. Do you think that they're like out there voting in a meaningful way that's changing the political landscape of the United States? Are they having like a meaningful impact on the electoral system?
Yeah. So even if people are fully illiterate, they will vote if they have an emotional reason to vote, which is what the Democrats very much understand. I want to correct my language there and say, because I think it's uniparty at this point, that they will continue to vote emotionally. So when you see something like, Black people rioting and looting in the streets because of what happened to George Floyd, what you are dealing with is people that are being intentionally misinformed about circumstances so that they are emotionally reactive. Because look, I have children. I have a 3-year-old. I know what it means to be ignorant. My child can't read. He is emotionally reactive. And if you can turn an entire population into an emotionally reactive toddler that has no facts or no understanding of history, you can make them do whatever it is that you want them to do. So
I guess it's interesting to me because it feels like the most mind controlled people in America are actually like young white college kids. And those guys have lots of literacy and lots of education. So I don't know why we wouldn't send Black people into like the colleges and turn them woke instead of.
Actually, no. But that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college, because if you look factually speaking, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet we have never handed out more degrees, which is interesting. Like, when
you say Americans are getting dumber, what do you mean?
What I mean, talking about in terms of passing tests, passing exams, the literacy level in America, everything is actually going down. And like SAT scores, everything is going down. And which is why they're now like, let's just abolish the SAT, the sort of a thing that
which I think they've gotten rid of and brought back in some places. Yeah. But I don't know if the same people getting illiterate are the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah, we're handing out degrees, and yet people think they're educated when actually they're just brainwashed bots, and they're quite stupid. They are stupid. And that's the magic of a college degree, is that it makes people think that they're smart, right? And it's astonishing. You really should examine that, how every decade within America, people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And one of the things that my colleague Matt Walsh did, which is really incredible, is he read a letter that was written by a civil rights soldier who's like 17 years old or 18 years old, had no education, and it sounded like poetry, like unbelievable the way people used to be able to speak and write before we created the Department of Education, which in my view, it is there just to exist to turn you into a mindless bot that will serve the government's interests.
We can say that, but the reality is aside from the cultural thing, on the economic side, America has like one of the most productive workforces, maybe the most productive workforce in the world.
When you say productive workforce, what do you mean by that?
Productive in an economic sense is how many like units of things are produced by 1 hour of labor from a U.S. worker. And I'm pretty sure U.S. worker productivity is higher than it ever has been. I think that continues to climb. It's one of the biggest complaints about lack of increase of wage growth, for instance, is that wage growth doesn't seem to have tracked to the massive increase of productivity of the average American worker or the median American worker. I just think that like if you wanted to control, it just seems strange that we've got two completely and totally diametrically opposed ways of controlling society. One is to make Black people specifically, I guess, illiterate so that they are easier to manipulate, even though I seriously doubt these people even vote that much. And then the other is to make people the most literate by sending them to college and have them read.
They're not the most literate. That's what I'm telling you. They are not the most literate.
You think people graduate with?
That's pretty much the end of that. If you guys want to hear the whole extent of the debate, go on Destiny's sites on YouTube. Candace destroys them with facts, and as usual, he just says the opposite. As I've been saying for a while now, I believe college is a waste unless you actually know what you want to do. I would suggest going to a trade school. Picking one specific topic of what you find interesting and what you're good at, and go to school for that. But if you're going just to, because you're not sure, or if you want to go get a gender degree, these jobs are going to be they're going to be gone soon because people are sick of the woke stuff. Once the companies are finally just done with it. They're going to fire all these gender type positions. So I would, yeah. And then if you look at Harvard, what's happening there, it's just become a huge indoctrination camp at this point. You see what the kids are doing and saying around the campuses. It's insane. So I would suggest trade schools is the way. Out of high school into a good job, or trade schools is the way to go. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.